Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another day of Slipstream. Today we will be talking about EU carbon border tax implementation. In today's video, we're covering one of the most significant climate policy developments of the year, the European Union's landmark decision to implement a carbon border tax that could reshape global trade and climate action. This isn't just another policy announcement, it's a game changer that affects everything from the products you buy to how countries approach climate commitments. Just this week, the European Parliament officially approved the Carbon Border Adjustment Mechanism, or CBAM. After years of negotiations and political wrangling, the EU has taken the unprecedented step of imposing carbon costs on imported goods. Starting October 1st, 2023, companies importing certain products into the EU will need to report the embedded emissions in their goods. By 2026, they'll actually be paying for those emissions. This isn't some distant future policy. The reporting requirements begin in just 3 months. We're talking about steel, aluminum, cement, fertilizers, electricity, and hydrogen initially, with plans to expand to other sectors. The message is clear. If you want to sell to the world's second largest economy, you need to play by their climate rules. So why is this such a big deal? For decades, there's been a fundamental problem with climate policy. Companies could simply move their carbon-intensive production to countries with weaker environmental standards, then export those goods back to countries with strict climate policies. This phenomenon, called carbon leakage, undermined global climate efforts. The CBAM changes that calculus entirely. Now, whether you produce steel in Germany or China, the carbon cost will be the same when it enters the EU market. This levels the playing field for EU companies that have already invested heavily in cleaner technologies and creates a powerful incentive for trading partners to accelerate their own decarbonization efforts. The international response has been immediate and mixed. The United States has expressed concerns about potential trade tensions, while China and India have been more openly critical, calling the measure protectionist. However, climate advocates worldwide are celebrating this as a breakthrough moment. What's particularly interesting is how this might spur similar policies elsewhere. The UK, Canada, and even the US are now considering their own versions of carbon border adjustments. We could be witnessing the birth of a new global standard for climate-responsible trade. For developing countries, there are both challenges and opportunities. While some fear increased costs, others see this as a chance to attract green investment and modernize their industries. The EU has pledged technical assistance to help trading partners adapt. Let's talk about what this means in practical terms. If you're a manufacturer outside the EU, you'll need to start measuring and reporting the carbon footprint of your products. This will require new accounting systems, verification processes, and potentially significant operational changes. For consumers, this might mean slightly higher prices for some imported goods. But it also means more transparency about the environmental impact of what we buy. More importantly, it creates a market advantage for cleaner producers worldwide. The financial implications are substantial too. The EU expects to generate billions in revenue from the CBAM, which will be reinvested in climate action and supporting the green transition, particularly for vulnerable communities. This policy represents a fundamental shift in how we approach climate action. Instead of relying solely on voluntary commitments or isolated national policies, the EU is using its economic power to drive global change. It's a bold experiment in climate governance that could either revolutionize international climate cooperation or spark new trade conflicts. What's clear is that the rules of global trade are changing to account for environmental impact. Whether you're a business leader, policymaker, or concerned citizen, this development demands attention. The success or failure of the CBAM will likely influence climate policy for decades to come. If this video was informative, join us tomorrow for more Slipstream content. Don't forget to subscribe for daily updates on the stories that actually matter.